Hello everybody and welcome here for my Premier League predictions for Matchday 30. And my official predictions is the first game will be kicking off at Tuesday at 7:45 kickoff between my team Arsenal and Fulham. And this is a very, very big game. This is for Arsenal. I understand that we are not going to win the Premier League this season, and I know that Liverpool have definitely won it. Even though Liverpool got knocked out of the Champions League, the FA Cup, and also lost in the Carabao Cup final in their last matchup over Newcastle at Wembley Stadium a few weeks back, I don't really think that obviously Liverpool will bottle the Premier League title. I reckon we will come second at the end of this season. But talk about this game here at the Emirates on Tuesday, on the first day of April, on April Fool's Day. I reckon that we will get the easy win over Fulham. It won't be easy like in terms of the matchup. I think Fulham, you never know how they're going to turn up at the Emirates Stadium, because look what happened to West Ham a few weeks back. We lost 1-0 to them. We drew to Forest. We picked up a very, very good victory over Chelsea in our last Premier League matchup. But if I had to put a prediction in this game between Fulham and Arsenal, easily on paper we should win the matchup. But at the end of the day, Fulham have been very, very decent as well. So I'm going to go for, not being biased though, but I'm going to go for Arsenal 2, Fulham 1 in my predictions on Tuesday. My official predictions on Matchday 30 between the team who are now 9 points clear from the relegation drop, Wolves, and they take on against a team who are currently 16th, a place above Wolves, West Ham United. Well, these two teams are safe. Those two teams will have no worries at all. In my opinion, they're going to go down this season. I think the teams who went up from last season, Leicester and also Southampton, Ipswich, I think those three teams are down for this campaign. I feel that for Wolves, I think they want to try and be as consistent as possible. They've beaten Southampton at St Mary's a few weeks back, and they're playing at home against West Ham United. In my prediction in this game, I feel that even Wolves might be 9 points clear from the drop, but I think Wolves might extend that at home over West Ham United, and I'm going to go for Wolves 2, West Ham United 1, just because Wolves are in a little bit of positive mood I reckon, after when they defeated Southampton a few weeks back to be 9 points adrift away from the relegation drop. And that gives the whole Wolves team a lot of, let's say, belief now to go 12 points clear and above Leicester City and Ipswich in the drop. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Wolves, and I reckon that will be a big win for them on Tuesday against West Ham United. A very massive game on the 1st of April on Matchday 30 between the high-flying underdogs of the Premier League so far this season, Nottingham Forest, and they take on the team are the sleeping giants of English football, Manchester United. And a great result for United to pick up a win over Leicester City in their last Premier League game by 3-0 at Leicester. But you're up against Nottingham Forest in this matchup at the City Ground. And Man United have not picked up any good record over Forest in the last 3 meetings in the Premier League, losing 2-1 at the City Ground in their last meeting from last season. They lost, was it 3-0, was it? 3-1 to Manchester United. 3-2 actually, it was 3-2 to Forest at Old Trafford this season, way back in Christmas. And I don't think this Man United team will get anything out of this matchup, you know. Their team's not good enough anymore. They're very stubborn, they are, Man United. They're not the best team as they were, you know, under Sir Alex Ferguson. And now they've got to make a new stadium. They're going to create a tent stadium as their new ground in a couple of years' time. And their club's in a mess. But as for Nottingham Forest, you know, Chris Wood banging in the goals every single week is really helping, obviously, Nottingham Forest to try and maybe get a potential push to qualify for the Champions League next season. Will be absolutely massive for Nuno Espirito Santo's side. So I do think that Nottingham Forest have got a lot of confidence in this matchup, and I don't see them losing this matchup on Tuesday. So I'm going to go Forest 1, Manchester United 0 at the City Ground on Tuesday. My official prediction between Bournemouth and Ipswich Town. A very big game this will be for Bournemouth, as they are a team who are in a very good position, really flying high in the Premier League so far this season, in that top 7 and 8 in the Premier League table as it stands. And they've got a massive, let's say, promise for them to try and bounce back into those European places. I know they lost the last league game they did a few weeks back against Brentford, so they want to try and get back into winning ways again. And I really love Bournemouth's team in terms of what they're doing as a club. They're a small club with a smaller budget, but again, they're really, punching above their weight. Not just even now, but when Eddie Howe was in charge of manager for Bournemouth years ago, punched Bournemouth above their weight. They were a League Two side many years ago, and they really pushed themselves in a very, very, richest game of the league, the Premier League. To be competing in that league is absolutely ridiculous. But I'm used to Bournemouth now in the Premier League, and I think they're going to really give a victory over Ipswich on Wednesday night at 7:45 kickoff. So I'm going to go for a win for Bournemouth. I'm going Bournemouth 3, Ipswich Town 1 in my predictions. As for Ipswich, I think they're down, in my honest opinion. Ever since when Wolves beaten Southampton a few weeks back, it really gives, Ipswich, let's say, negative thoughts. And they haven't picked up any results recently under Kieran McKenna for Ipswich. It's good to see them back in the Premier League for the first time since 2002, but they haven't had that team this season. I compare this Ipswich team to Luton's team last season, got to the Premier League for the first time in years, and then all of a sudden you're believing you can try and survive the drop, but then you somehow just miss out on that and get relegated anyway. And I think that'll happen for Ipswich this season. But in the game on Wednesday, I think Bournemouth will really pick up a real big result over Ipswich, and they'll win the matchup 3-1 in my predictions on the Wednesday during the week. My official predictions between Brighton, Hove Albion and Aston Villa, and that's a massive game this will be for the Seagulls of Brighton. They're in a very good position in terms of where they are, and they're only a couple points off from the UEFA Champions League places, and they could finish 5th. And they might play Champions League football for the first time in their club's history for next season. It'll be good if they do, Brighton. It'll be a once-a-lifetime opportunity for a team like Brighton to get any European football. I said that about Bournemouth on the last prediction when they play against Ipswich on Wednesday. But they do play against Aston Villa, also are contenders in the exact same position where Brighton are really fighting for also for next season. This will be a very, let's say, home result that Brighton should win, of course, on Wednesday. Villa have got some other priorities as well on the UEFA Champions League tie over PSG the week after Brighton. So I think this game is going to be very, very tight, because these two teams want to be in those European places by the end of the season. So I'm going to go for Brighton Hove Albion 1, Aston Villa 1, at the game on Wednesday in a couple days from now. So 1-1 my prediction between those two sides. And my prediction between Newcastle United and Brentford. And this is going to be a very, very good, obviously, game this will be for Newcastle, returning back from international break. A massive hangover as well after that major trophy they won over Liverpool on the 16th of March in the Carabao Cup final. And obviously for Newcastle, they did very, very well to get to the final and win the whole entire thing. I was at the game when they played Arsenal at the Emirates way back in January, and that video was out on my other YouTube channel of TGI Gamer. And if you want to watch that video, go on my other channel and watch it, and the links will be down below in the description on this video. But as of this matchup here for Newcastle and Brentford, Newcastle at home, they've got a lot of confidence of that massive, major trophy they won for the first time in 70 years. As for Brentford, however, they are currently also in that position to try and fight for a top half finish, or maybe finishing the European places for next season for Brentford. The point is not that far off where Brentford are and also where Newcastle are, as they're really realistically, they're both fighting each other in this game to try and be in those European places by the end of the season. Well, for Newcastle, they're in the Conference League next season. Doesn't really comply to them, but it'd be good for Newcastle to probably push themselves up the league for a potential place to qualify for the UEFA Champions League once again, or maybe Europa League, one step better than the Conference. That's what Newcastle want to aim for until the end of the season. If I had to put a prediction in this matchup at St James's Park Stadium between Newcastle and Brentford, I'm going to go for Newcastle in that matchup 4-1. And I'm only saying that because they won the Carabao Cup. They're in cloud nine, they are, after that result over Brentford. And I think that Newcastle have got that, let's say, that fighting spirit after winning that Carabao Cup final a few weeks back to do the exact same thing in the league over Brentford. Remember, they're at home as well, and they are very good at home, and they're very hard to beat in defence as well. So I'm going to go for a 4-1 victory for Newcastle on Wednesday, and I think Isak will score a hat-trick in that game, and that's my prediction on that matchup on Matchday 30 between Newcastle and Brentford. My official prediction between Southampton and Crystal Palace at St Mary's Stadium on Wednesday. And this is a very, very, very big game this is for Palace. I think Palace will feel a little bit, let's say, energetic in this matchup because they're against a team who cannot pick up any results in the season, and that is Southampton. 9 points. They can't even hit 2-digit points in the league so far. At the moment, at this rate, they could end up breaking Derby County's record at the end of the season. In my honest opinion, I don't think they're going to break Derby's record. I think they'll get more points, I think, maybe so, from now until the end of the season. Not a lot of points, though. Probably they might gain 4 points, I reckon, out of the next 8 games, in my opinion, for Southampton. But very depressing for the Southampton fans down the South Coast, you know. Since they got promoted back to the Premier League of the first season down the Championship for the playoffs over Leeds, they have not really been themselves, you know, losing games after games after games, sacking Russell Martin. They've got this guy from Italy, the Italian manager, is it Croatian? Don't know his name though, but he has not been, let's say, that great for Southampton. And the Southampton fans want to get this season out and done with because they know, I know, everybody knows they're going to be going back down to the Championship. I'm not sure if they lose this game on Wednesday, they go down to the Championship. I think it's another couple. If they lose 2 games straight, then they're automatically relegated into the Championship for next season. So, in my prediction in this game, I think that Palace will get the win, in my opinion. And I think that Palace will get a real big win. I think they're doing so good they are. A very slow start to the season for Palace under Oliver Glasner in that relegation zone, but picked up some great form. And they're really pushing towards that top 11 and that top 10 in the Premier League. And I think for Palace, I think they'll be safe enough, I think, to win that game on Wednesday. So I'm going to go for Southampton 0, Crystal Palace 2, away from home victory for the Eagles of Palace to win the game 2-0 on that matchup on Wednesday between Southampton and Palace. And that is my prediction for that matchup for Matchday 30. My official prediction between Manchester City and Leicester City on Wednesday night. And I know that now that Man City are nowhere near the league title as they were the last 5 consecutive seasons, as they're really fighting realistically in that top 4 finish under Pep Guardiola. But they do take on against a side that cannot get any results so far this season, and it's Leicester City. All right, they picked up a couple results in the league, 4 wins this season, currently in the relegation zone, and Ruud van Nistelrooy, his team, could not get any results. Back-to-back defeats in the Premier League, and they do play Man City on their next Premier League game for Matchday 30. In this matchup here at the Etihad Stadium, I don't see Leicester City getting any result at all whatsoever over Manchester City on Wednesday. So I'm going to go for a massive victory for City, and I'm going to go for Man City 5, Leicester City 0 in the matchup. And that's a massive win for Man City and for Pep Guardiola to get the 3 points over Leicester by the end of Matchday 30. My official prediction at the Merseyside derby on Wednesday, a local rivalry matchup between two teams, a football city of Liverpool. We have Liverpool versus Everton at Anfield. And my official prediction in this matchup will be very simple for Liverpool. I know that Liverpool did draw to Everton a few months back. I know David Moyes has been very, very brilliant since he took over from Sean Dyche. He's playing that great, football, that great flair they're playing in terms of, playing defensive, make it hard to beat at the back. And Everton, all right, they got a draw or two. They got a result a few games before, and they're a long way away from the relegation drop now. And they've got a new stadium for next season as well at the Bradley Moore Dock. And they've got lots of good things ahead of them for Everton. But I do think that Liverpool will pick up a victory after losing the Carabao Cup final to Newcastle a few weeks back. And obviously, they did lose in the UEFA Champions League by PSG on penalties. And I think that in the league, I reckon they can still, go high and win the league, in my opinion. I don't think my team Arsenal will do it. We're only 12 points off of Liverpool, and the fixtures they've got coming up are winnable games, in my opinion. And I think there's no team will stop Liverpool this season. And I think my prediction in this matchup here at the Merseyside derby between Liverpool and Everton on Wednesday night will be Liverpool 3, Everton 1 at Anfield on Wednesday. And I feel that there's more closer now that Arnold Slot will get a Premier League title under his belt. And that'll be that for my prediction for Matchday 30 between these two sides at the Merseyside derby on Wednesday. Now we move on to the London derby on Thursday's kickoff at 8 o'clock between Chelsea and Spurs. Spurs, let's talk about them first. Tottenham have not been, let's say, that very, very good in terms of where they are at the moment in the league. I think Ange Postecoglou should get the sack, in my opinion. Every game that Spurs played is always a cricket score with them. And, okay, they're picking up a little bit of wins and they're trying to climb up a little bit up the table slightly. But apart from that, they're against Chelsea, a team who are currently fighting for a position to qualify for the UEFA Champions League. If you compare maybe the seasons in terms of a chance on who'll win the European trophy compared to Chelsea and Spurs for this season, I think Chelsea are more likely to, as they are in the Conference League, the lowest tier of European competitions, and I reckon Chelsea will go all the way and win the whole entire thing. As for Spurs, however, they're in the Europa League still. They're clinging on to that Europa League spot, but I think 95% I don't think Spurs will win the Europa League. They're bottle jobs. They're known to be bottle jobs anyway. And they will bottle also on Thursday when they play against Chelsea on my prediction on Matchday 30. So I'm going to go for Chelsea 2, Spurs 0. And I think that Cole Palmer will entertain the Chelsea fans with his goal celebration to guarantee Chelsea that win on Matchday 30 and put the pressure on Man City for that top 4 place by the end of the season. And that's all we have time for here for my Premier League predictions on Matchday 30. 8 games to go left of the season. And this is my new YouTube channel, by the way, to talk about football itself, football predictions, watch-alongs, and so many other things related to football will be on this channel. And also football updates, transfers and etc. will be involved on this channel. But if you like this video of my Premier League Matchday 30 predictions, please leave a like on my channel and also subscribe to my channel, and also share this video also on this channel. Thank you for watching, everybody, here on this channel, and peace out, and I'll see you soon with more predictions of the Premier League coming soon. Thank you for watching.